afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here at high noon with the sun beating down on you. Glad to see all your faces. Hope you're having a great Jambo experience. Everything I learned about leadership, I learned in the Boy Scouts of America. If you visit my leadership center, you'll see that down there. It is absolutely true. And so I thought I'd share with you a little bit about my leadership journey, how I evolved into the leader I became, what kind of sent me along those pathways and the choices I made along the way. Because each of you are going to be making choices from this day forward of the kind of leader you want to be. And I really want to emphasize that to you. You get to choose the kind of leader you want to be. You don't have to be anything you don't want to be. So let me share a couple of experiences during my youth scouting years that really had a profound impact on me, even though I didn't realize it until many years later. So I went to the Charles L. Somers Canoe Base, which is today called Northern Tier, when I was 14 years old. I weighed about 115 pounds. And back in those days, we had aluminum canoes, canvas packs. There was none of this, lightweight stuff like you have today. So that canoe, which one person has to carry on portages, weighed maybe 20 to 25 pounds less than I did. And it was a very long, 19 feet. And they teach you how to pick it up, put it on your shoulders, so you can walk through the portages. And we practiced that. And there's 3 to a canoe. One carries the food pack, one carries all your clothing and your bedrolls, and one carries the canoe. Well, we get to the first portage where it's my turn to carry the canoe, and I get it up on my 115-pound body, and I struggle to get out of the water up onto the trail, and I go maybe 50 yards, and I am stalled out, and I am just trembling. And I am actually in tears, crying. What am I going to do? And I just stopped in the middle of the trail. And my crew chief of our crew and one of the other scouts pop up under the canoe, get right in my face, what's the matter? I said, I can't do this. I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. I said, oh, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And so they gave me a little cheering session. And then they said, come on, let's go. And they got under each end of the canoe with me. And we carried it the rest of the way. That was the only time they had to do it, because when the next time was my turn, I said, I can do this. Fast forward a year to Philmont Scout Ranch. I'm now 15 years old. We're doing our trek over Baldy. And one of the scouts in our crew was one of the younger scouts now. I was a little older at that point. And we were going up Baldy, similar situation. He is like just getting slower and slower and slower. And people are starting to grumble. Starting to grumble. The crew chief comes and says, asked me, he says, come on and come back with me. So we went back and talked to the member of our crew, and he said, I can't do this. He said, I can't. He just sat down and just quit right there. He said, I'm done. So our crew said, everybody take a break, let's take a breather. And then we asked him, well, what are you going to do? And the kid said, I don't know. I don't want to do this anymore. He said, well, how about if we start taking stuff out of your pack? And we get everybody to take a piece of your pack. So we started unpacking his pack, and everybody got one piece of his pack, So all of a sudden his pack now is about half as heavy. And then he gets up, and the crew chief starts the crew back up the mountain, and I stay back behind this younger scout to make sure he gets to the top. So we got to the top, and he said, I'll take all my stuff back now. So we put it all back in his pack. He never stopped the trek again. A scout is helpful. A scout is courteous. A scout is kind. Those were some of my earliest lessons in leadership. So the leader could come back and take the whip out, and say, Dad, go and get going, whack, whack, whack. You're embarrassing us all. Come on, what's up? But instead, the leader came back and said, what can I do to help? How are we going to be successful here? So as I entered my professional career, it wasn't until I was probably in my 30s that I began to reflect on the kind of leader I was becoming. I was a supervising engineer, and then I had a larger group of engineers, and by the time I was 28 years old, I was supervising a group of 115 engineers, 50 geoscientists, and I had a drilling budget of $300 million a year as a 28-year-old. And I kind of looked at that and I said, how in the world did I get here? And what am I doing that they think is going to make me successful at this? Well, what I began to understand from that point forward is that I was practicing what I later realized I had made the choice to be a servant leader. And my first experience with servant leadership was Northern Tier, Philmont Scout Ranch. And as I got further and further in my career, senior management at ExxonMobil, and from then on, what I realized, I was getting my greatest moments of satisfaction when people on my team did well, or someone who didn't think they could achieve a task achieved it. And that gave me great satisfaction because it meant I had helped prepare them. If they were struggling, you step in when they need help, make them successful. And as long as everyone around me was successful, somehow I just kept moving up. So you get to choose to be the kind of leader you want to be. So do you want to be the kind of leader that steps over people, steps on people, takes credit for work that other people do? Or do you want to be a servant leader that lifts people up, steps in when they're struggling, gives them credit for all their accomplishments, regardless of how large or small they may be? Because that will give them the confidence to take on the next toughest thing. That's what I learned in scouting. It's been with me my whole life. Everything I need to know about leadership, I learned in the Boy Scouts. Now, what's the single most important attribute of you being successful, not just as a leader, but as an individual? I'm going to tell you there's one thing in your life that you must protect: your personal integrity. Because the second reason I was successful, moving up in the corporation and later serving in government, was people had a lot of trust in me. I had a reputation for honesty, for owning my mistakes, and for treating other people with respect. It's all about personal integrity. On my honor, I will do my best. What's that mean? What's your honor? On my personal honor, I'm putting my name, my reputation, and everything about me on the line, and I'm going to do the best I can. And it may not turn out the way I hoped it had. It may not turn out successfully, but as long as I did my best, I can put my head on that pillow at night. I don't have any trouble sleeping. But when you raise your hand and you say that oath, I hope you're all thinking about, what does that really mean? It means you're putting your personal integrity on the line for all the world to see. It is so easy to lose your personal integrity by deciding to take credit for something you didn't really do, by moving ahead at someone else's expense. And once you compromise or lose your personal integrity, it is very, very difficult to get it back. Now, the thing that's great about integrity is you were all born with your integrity 100% intact. When you were born, you had your personal integrity uncompromised. So the only way you lose it or it gets compromised is you do it. No one can take it from you. Only you can relinquish it. Don't ever relinquish your personal integrity. It is your greatest asset. And people will want to be around you. They'll want to be on your team. They want to be part of what you're doing because they know they can count on you to always do the right thing. They can count on you to be honest. They can count on you to have their back. So when you're in a team, you kind of make that promise to one another. I'm going to protect you. You're going to protect me. That's your personal integrity. On my honor, I will do that. So all of you folks have a giant leap and advantage over your peers who don't recite the Scout Oath. They don't recite the Scout Law. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful. Those are great leadership attributes, but you got to put them in action. And when you put them in action and those around you see that that's the person you are, they want to be with you. And if they're with you, you don't have to worry about your success. They'll take care of that for you. They may not realize they're doing it, but they are. When the team around you has faith in you, everything you do is going to turn out great. So what kind of leader do you want to be? Well, I chose, as the years went by, and it took me a while before I realized it, but I had become a servant leader. It wasn't anything actually that I remember doing deliberately. I just woke up one day and realized, why am I moving so well? What's the source of all this success and advancement I'm achieving? And I realized it was two things. I chose to be a servant leader, and my integrity was intact. And you're going to get tested. I promise you, your integrity will be tested. And the decision you're going to have to make is, Do I have the courage to do the right thing and take the consequences that are going to come upon me? You know, a lot of people choose the easy path. Well, let's just lie about this. Let's don't really tell them what happened. Let's just get it past us. Nobody will know. Most important person in the world will know. You know. You know. You just compromised your integrity. So you're going to have that tested. Those days are going to come, and you just have to reach in deep inside of yourself. And what I do is I reach inside myself, and you know what I say to myself? On my honor, I will do my best. And those words get me through everything. It always helps me do the right thing. And then whatever happens, happens. But I don't have any trouble sleeping at night as long as I do that. So what kind of leader you want to be? Can you keep your personal integrity intact? That's the most important thing I can tell you about leadership. You can go to all leadership training in the world, and if you don't do those two things, you're kind of wasting your time. So I don't want to talk a whole lot up here. I just want to share a couple of thoughts. I really would like to have a conversation with you, about your leadership experiences. You have questions for me about my leadership experiences, but I wanted to kind of give you an understanding of how I came to my leadership choices. And I have had my integrity tested many, many times. People wanted me to do things that I knew were not right. I had bosses wanted me to do things that weren't right, and I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I was polite about how I said it, but I said, I can't do that. I had a boss one time wanted me to go out to the media and lie about something. I said, I can't. I told my wife about it that night, and she said, you know why? You know you can't do that because you're an Eagle Scout, and everybody out there knows you're an Eagle Scout. So I want you to think about all of those scouts that would see you on TV, and they'd know that was a lie. I'd be done. End of my integrity. And that's what I remembered. On my honor, I will do my best. If you'll keep those words always foremost in your mind, you'll make good choices. You'll always make good choices. And I promise you it'll all turn out just fine.